Okay, the funniest thing was when I stopped looking at the camera and looked at the Zoom meeting and just saw you doing the most ridiculous.
What did I do?
I remember this episode of Mythbusters, Tim, if you've seen it, and they were trying to get Adam Savage to sneeze, and he had this pepper, and he was like sniffing this pepper, and he goes, I just had one of those "what the hell am I doing" moments. He's sniffing pepper for his job, and I'm looking at you do these things, poses for a thumbnail, and I lost it. I couldn't stop laughing because you're doing these like.
Yeah, so we basically figured after episode 1, we had no thumbnails, and we've never done a thumbnail before, so we read somewhere that you should take crazy photos at the end of the video and just do these crazy sort of expressions. So we just started doing that. We started doing Macaulay Culkin, like Home Alone, and just crazy. Put them up.
Cracked me up. Watching you do these poses just cracked me up.
Put them up.
Welcome to Onboard for Delivery.
Well, welcome, Tim, to episode 3 for Onboard for Delivery. What have we got on the agenda tonight?
I just wanted to just do lots of poses for the next 15 minutes. But
let's be honest, that's the real reason you got the camera, isn't it?
Yeah, so exactly. This is the most planned podcast ever. We started before we even realized we started. But basically, tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about lots of things to do with technology, cameras, audio, microphones, anything really. We'll see what comes out. So we should have turned up to rehearsal. So we can edit that bit out. But basically, we've been so thankful for the support that the viewers have been giving us, and so thank you to everyone. We've got literally a handful of subscribers out there, and they've been writing into us, giving us lots of valuable feedback. So thank you very much from the bottom of our heart.
I've received text messages daily from people watching our videos. So
that's been me, Paul.
It's good.
Basically me, and I've been receiving.
You, of course, you, and the other person as well. one person. People will watch it. Yeah,
exactly.
It will happen.
Like I send it to Mum, and she just gives me one of those thumbs up in Facebook. When you just want someone to stop talking and just end the conversation.
Yeah, have you ever thumbed someone by accident? Like you're just talking to them and you press a thumb and then you got to explain. There's that explanation of sorry, I didn't mean to do that. It's so embarrassing, but they make it so easy to thumb someone.
Yeah,
have you ever thumbed someone, Tim?
If you know what I mean, I've definitely thumbed. I've definitely thumbed people online, but I've never thumbed anyone in real life. If you know what I mean.
That's a good segue for our segment, Tim. Of if you know what I mean, where we use innuendos when we're talking about cameras and microphones and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, why don't you start us off, Tim?
So, okay, we'll take it in turns. So basically, I've got my camera on a very sturdy tripod that's got 3 strong, stiff legs, if you know what I mean.
And I've got my camera on a 16mm wide-angle lens, if you know what I mean.
I love the 16 mils. 16, but now I'm getting a bit older. I prefer the 30mm lenses, if you know what I mean. We know where this is going.
I just went and bought a 90mm macro lens so I can zoom in.
We do not want 90 mils. I would go 56.
I need a 90mm macro lens so I can zoom really close to those small things, if you know what I mean.
I draw the line at 56 mils, if you know what I mean.
I know that the Sigma lenses are very sharp and they can zoom in quite close, if you know what I mean.
Well, when it comes to zooming in quite close, what you really need is a slider, so you can just slide into those very slow motion product delivery shots, if you know what I mean.
And I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. There you go.
And I don't think we'll be able to show this footage to Mum. No,
if you know what I mean.
This is getting bad. This segment. Do you Do you reckon our subscribers are going to ask for this segment to be repeated, or?
I think we'll have to have a bit of a disclaimer at the start of that, I think, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. So I've got this massive light dome that is surrounding my head. This is getting really bad, Paul. This is way too late. We're actually quite sober. I've just had half a can of Pepsi Max, but it's getting way.
I've been hitting the hard water.
Yeah. This is getting way too silly, but. There's probably plenty of these innuendos when it comes to cameras and audio equipment and microphones.
Everyone likes a good innuendo, if you know what I mean.
All right. I'm wondering, Paul, if we should change topics before this gets a bit too out of hand. And so...
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, no, definitely.
So this week... Okay, let's talk about something serious for a little bit. So this week, we've been looking a lot into cameras. So we've been... So microphones and audio has been, put on the back burner a little bit because we're getting caught up in the cameras and lighting and so forth. But we've had these microphones we're both using for a while now. And so, I mean, yeah, how do you feel? How are you finding the Rode NT1? How's it been?
Yeah, it's great. But prior to the NT1, I did have a AKG P220, and I was never happy with the sound. And I was never satisfied with how it sounded. It cost me a lot of money too.
Isn't that supposed to be like a really good microphone that a lot of people have really good results from?
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. It is supposed to be an amazing microphone. But once again, I was getting mixed results and I was very disappointed with it. So as soon as you told me that you have one of these on order, I jumped onto it straight away and ordered one for myself.
Yeah.
And then when it arrived and I decided to read the manual and I realized that the AKG mic was a great mic, but I'd been talking into the wrong side. The whole time I had it.
What do you mean the wrong side? As in the...
So, well, for a condenser mic, which is what this is, you're supposed to have it in an upright position, if you know what I mean, and talk through the side of the microphone. What I was doing was talking through the top of the mic, traditionally like you would see a singer on stage sing through the top of the mic. And I was singing, basically talking through that. And it wasn't picking up my voice very well because condenser mics are supposed to be through the side. So I've been talking into that microphone wrong for 4 years, being very dissatisfied with it. But the Rode NT mic, I mean, I love it. It's black. It's fantastic. The pop filter is really good. The sound quality is as close to my voice as it can be. So how I sound through this is more or less how I sound in real life. So I couldn't be happier with the mic itself. It's not too expensive. You can spend a lot more money on microphones like the Shure SM7B, which can be close to double the price of this one, which I think you're using now.
Yeah.
But I love it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the SM7B, and the main reason I'm using this is it just looks good. Looks good on camera, looks legit. Everyone that runs a podcast seems to use this microphone. It seems to be the most popular microphone for podcasts at the moment. And I was trying to figure out why. Like, what is it about the SM7B? Because it's not a new microphone. This has been around, I don't know how many years, but I know it's famous for being the microphone that Michael Jackson used when he sang Thriller back in the 80s. Like, this microphone has been around, and it's not like a new piece of technology for the internet. But from what I understand of why this microphone is so popular, number one, it's a dynamic microphone, meaning that there's no power. It doesn't require any power. You plug it straight in. And what that means is that you have to talk into the microphone. Unlike a condenser microphone that's very, very sensitive, if you don't talk into the end of this one, you can barely be heard. Like if I talk out here, it's really quiet, and I come back close, and it's really intimate, if you know what I mean. And she love my jokes. That's not funny at all. It would have been funny if I had kept straight.
So you're saying that with the SM7B, you got to talk into the tip of the microphone.
You got to talk into the end of it. It's basically pointing straight at your mouth. And basically, basically it basically rejects a lot of the sound from the room, so it makes it really good. So if you're doing a podcast and the person next to you in the same room is also part of the podcast, you don't want to be recording into each other's microphones, and that's where
picking up their sounds.
Yeah, that's where the Rode would be too sensitive. But if you're by yourself in one room, then the Rode is fine, especially if you've got acoustic panels up behind you, and it's not going to be too sensitive that it's picking up too much of the room noise. So that's the main reason these microphones are popular. They do sound good. They're very, very warm and very easy to listen to, and they reject other sounds. So you can have multiple of these in the one room with multiple people. But I think compared to an NT1, a Rode NT1, it's not quite as crisp. The NT1 has a much better higher end that it's much better for vocals, I think, if you're trying to do a song or trying to sing something or just get more clarity from the voice. But the SM7B just looks good, looks legit. It's so easy to listen to.
Yeah.
I like the look of it, basically, if you know what I mean.
I think it's a great mic, but it's not quite the same as the Rode NT1. I believe the Rode NT1 is a far superior mic than the SM7B, especially aesthetically as well. Like the Rode NT1 looks better, it sounds better. So my question for you would be, why do you not use the Rode mic? You're not in an environment with other people. There's not other people in the room with you podcasting. In fact, you're in a room by yourself, talking with yourself, by yourself, with a closed door. So based on what you said it wasn't the best going around. So why do you use it?
Very good question. Basically looks good, and it stays out of my face. So,
but it doesn't look good. Like it's ugly. I find the SM7B is one of the ugliest mics I've ever seen.
Okay, well, you know what? I think we should start a new segment, Paul, because we're having a bit of a disagreement on here, and it's quite possible that we might disagree on some other things. So we actually had a viewer write in during the week and said the segments we did last week were so bad, they had another idea. And the segment they invented was called Change. So when somebody says something that you don't agree with, you can tell them to change, and they have to instantly change what they just said, whether they believe it or not. So let's
change.
They have to say a topic, even if they really enjoy the topic. And so what we'll do is we'll start this game straight away. We can keep talking about the microphones or other things. We'll see whatever pops to our head. But if the other person says change, then, well, we could do this topic, or we could do something else. We could just do a whole new segment altogether, I guess.
Change.
But on second thought, or third thought, let's do this topic called change. So, all right, Paul. So let's talk about cameras now. So give me your grand opinion on the A6400.
Well, the A6400 is a brilliant camera. It's a fantastic quality of photos. It's got really cinematic videos. I find the video recording of the Sony is where its strength lies. If you compare it to the Canon, for example, the Canon has great photos but doesn't quite get there in the video department.
Change.
The Sony the Canon has great photos, but the videos are a bit lackluster compared to the Sony.
Change.
I think the videos of the Canon are quite good, but they just doesn't record longer than 29 minutes, which is what you want in a video recorder, because the Sony does record unlimited, which is fantastic, which is what I like about it. However, the Sony being APS-C versus full frame doesn't really faze me at all.
Change.
The menus being APS-C is a little bit smaller sensor than full frame, which is a bit frustrating at times. But overall, it's not a big issue.
Change.
It's a massive issue, especially in low light, because the bigger the sensor, the more light it lets in, the better it is in low light environments. And because I'm recording mostly in low light, it is a little bit frustrating, to be quite honest with you. But certainly, I think the cost ratio of the camera, for example, the APS-C lenses are a lot cheaper than full frame lenses, so there is a lot of upside to the A6400, which I love, and it's a great camera. I'm looking forward to getting to know it more and learning more about it. So Tim, tell me, what would you say is some of the favourite? You've only had it for a short time. You haven't taken many photos with it, so feel free to talk about your Canon if you want to. But what's your favourite thing about owning a camera?
I really love content creation. So I think there's...
Change.
Content creation is the most frustrating thing in the world. It takes so much effort and takes so much time. So content creation is the most rewarding thing that anyone can do. You can capture moments in time and present them, and then be artistic and change them and add to them and enhance what really happened. So with the Sony, like I'm just loving all the features it has. The
change.
The Sony has so many features. It's overwhelming, and the menu system is really
change.
The features. The features are. It's really user error. That is the reason why anyone that doesn't understand how the features work, it really comes down to user error. And it's so overwhelming. There's so many different settings and menu items. It's really going to take years. You can see why people have professions. Like there's a professional photographer, and they focus just on photography. And then there's
change.
There's no such thing as a photographer anymore. People do photography and videography. These are hybrid cameras now. Sony are realizing that people want to use their cameras for video, not just for photography. So, yeah, so really satisfied.
Change.
I'm never quite satisfied. I've always wanted a full frame. There's no difference between full frame and APS-C.
Change.
There's a big difference between APS-C and full frame. You can get more light, you get more detail on the sensor, but it does cost a lot more money for full frame. And I'd rather put that money into things like sliders and gimbals and other lenses and lighting.
Change.
If I had the money, I would just sell it all and buy a full frame and be done with it. And then I can just keep it forever. I'd never have to scratch that itch ever again, if you know what I mean. So, alrighty, Paul. So, what's next? So next week, we've been using cameras all this week. What are your plans next week with technology?
Well, I mean, next week I would love to experiment more with the flash and the diffuser mod that I've got for it, and macro photography. So there's the sort of the avenues I'm going to be going for over the next couple of weeks is macro photography and getting to know the flash that I've got for it and the lighting and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing. What are you doing, Tim?
I would like to experiment a little bit more with some color grading, and also actually start some photography. Like I just want to use the camera and take some photos with different exposures and that sort of thing. So those are the two things. So trying to stop buying things. I'm spent way too much money, and I need to catch up and save up some money before I buy anything new. So I want to just try to learn the features and get into the software a bit more, do some tutorials and that sort of thing. So I think that should keep me busy.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, thanks for joining us, Tim, again. It's been a great episode. And looking forward to the next one. Sorry?
Change.
Oh, I didn't hear. It's been a good episode.
Change.
It's been a disjointed episode, but I think it was fun, and that's the main thing. But we'll catch up with you in the next episode.
Absolutely. Okay, well, until the next time, good night from Onboard for delivery. All right, that's a wrap.